RE2, we're back, of course, talking some Square Enix maybe, because we're talking about another potential state of play, which means, of course, it's another gaming event, so we talk about potential Square Enix games that might appear at that event. This is courtesy of NateTheHate, who we talked about somewhat recently on the channel, where he discussed Final Fantasy 16 and the 7 Remake games coming to Xbox and also the Switch too. I do want to add really quickly too that in the previous podcast of his that we had talked about, it was his prediction that they would announce 16 and 7 Remake come to Xbox at that recent Xbox event, the Developer Direct, I believe it was. That wasn't his like inside info that was going to happen. It's just his info is that sometime this year they're going to announce 16 and 7 Remake come to Xbox. As regards to that specifically, he's not been disproven as of yet because there's still the rest of the year to go. But obviously his speculation or his prediction didn't come true. For the rumor of this upcoming state of play, this goes back actually a few weeks. It all takes place on Twitter. But somebody just straight up asked him in like a completely different thread about when's the next state of play, and he says February. So on January 16th, this person asked, do you know anything about the next state of play? To which he simply replies, how's February sound? And then more recently, again, in a completely different thread, unrelated to anything state of play, somebody asked, is it still happening in February? And then follows up and asks, when's it going to happen in February? And he kind of hints at when it might happen. So this person asks, is the first state of play of the year still coming in February? To which he simply replies, yes. They say, can you say if it's early, mid, or late February? To which he replies, what does your heart tell you? I believe the way people are interpreting that last bit is because he says, what does your heart tell you? That it's going to be Valentine's week, so next week. I will say, looking at the history of state of play, we've had one in February every single year since 2021. So there's a bit of a trend there, potentially, maybe for the ongoing future if this one's happening this year too. We had one last year that was dedicated to Rebirth on February 6th. There's also one at the very end of January. There's just like a general state of play, I believe. It usually happens either towards the beginning of February or towards the end of February. So this one that's coming up next week potentially would be breaking a bit of a trend, if you want to call it that, happening in the middle of the month. Another couple interesting trends I noticed from the February state of plays is that half of those were dedicated to an individual game. Also, they were Gran Turismo 7 and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Kind of interesting. Also, the individual game state of plays have always been at the beginning of February, and the regular state of plays, if you want to call it that, have been towards the end of February. So if there's ever like rumors for like an upcoming state of play potentially that's like, hey, it's happening early February or late February, we can maybe kind of come up with an idea of what it would be. Either being dedicated to a single game or maybe just a general state of play that shows off a bunch of games. Now, this one that's coming up next week, it's happening in the middle of the month, which is kind of breaking new ground, so who really knows? I assume it's probably a regular state of play, but who knows? Also, with state of plays, I think they generally happen on like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, one of those days. I think they've also been on other days of the week. I don't know if they've been on literally every single day of the week. Maybe there's never been a Sunday state of play or a Monday state of play. I have no idea. But generally, they're in the middle of the week, so we can kind of look to those dates, like the 11th, 12th, and 13th, for the potential days of when the state of play would happen. And as is often the case with state of plays, they don't announce that shit until like a day or two before it's going to happen, right? So let's assume that it's going to happen next Tuesday. They probably wouldn't make an official announcement until like Sunday or even Monday, potentially. Now, as for the state of play itself, you already know what I'm going to say. I'm a broken fucking record at this point. But we need something from Square Enix. Zero idea right now on anything for what the future holds for Square Enix in terms of games, right? We have rumors of shit. And we have official games that we know about, but we haven't had follow-ups on in a long time. We need something. It would be nice to get something from Square Enix at this event. Whether that's the 9 Remake, the Tactics Remaster, Dragon Quest 12, Kingdom Hearts 4, the next Nier game. I've also seen people mention the 13 trilogy. People want that, ported or remastered or remade. Just get it on modern platforms. That's all we want, which I'm down for too. I will say I actually got a PS3 for like birthday/Christmas for my sister. And I actually did buy the first Final Fantasy 13. I actually have played it almost all the way to completion. I think I'm at either the beginning of the final chapter or at the end of the second to last chapter. I don't remember where I stopped at. I actually haven't played it in a good week or two at this point. But I did kind of enjoy my time with it. I'm not super into the linearity of it. I'm not the story's cool, I guess. The characters are cool. I like the combat. The Crystarium's kind of It's not that fun to me to level up. But I do actually kind of enjoy the combat more than I remember liking it back in the day. And I actually enjoy this playthrough more than I did my first playthrough back in the day, for sure, too. But yeah, I've been an advocate for quite a long time at this point of getting the 13 trilogy to modern platforms outside of Xbox. Obviously, you can still get it there. But get it on PlayStation and also the Switch. And specifically, I would think it'd be smart to get the 13 trilogy on PS4 and the first Switch as well. Don't lock it behind Switch 2 and PS5, right? Because those are two massive audiences. They're consoles and platforms that have sold over 100 million units, right? So it'd be pretty dumb to not include those platforms if you're going to bring the 13 trilogy, to more modern audiences or whatever. But yeah, the 13 trilogy would be nice to see. I don't know how likely it is. Add too that we are talking about a PlayStation event, of course, with State of Play, and we previously talked about an Xbox event. I had people in the comments talking about, well, Square Enix is doing the multi-platform thing, so they're not going to reveal something at an Xbox event or PlayStation event or whatever because they're trying to release it on all platforms. But that's not true. They can still reveal something at like an Xbox event or a PlayStation event, and it still come to all platforms, right? We had this actually happen with one of the trailers for Crisis Core Reunion, right? Now, initially, Crisis Core Reunion was revealed with the 25th anniversary live stream, but there was like a Nintendo Direct or something like that happened where they just showed off one of the trailers for Crisis Core. Pretty much all the games that we're looking forward to from Square Enix at this point were games that were most likely going to be multi-platform anyways, before Square Enix even announced that they moved to the multi-platform strategy. The only one that maybe wasn't going to be was like the 9 remake, just kind of depending on the skill of that. They might have wanted that to be PlayStation exclusive at one point. The Tactics Remaster, Kingdom Hearts 4, Dragon Quest 12, the next Nier game, and potential 13 trilogy would all be games that were probably going to be on every platform anyways. We also need to add that there was the rumor that we talked about on Christmas, actually, from the Gamers Joint, that Square Enix was supposed to be doing their own dedicated showcases again, starting this month, in February of 2025, right? Whether or not that's credible information, it's debatable, right? This is just a random YouTuber saying this shit. At least to me, they're random. I have no idea. I don't watch them or whatever. I will say I had somebody comment on my video that we talked about this, who is a viewer of their channel, who says that they have reported credible information before, but also them having some sort of anonymous source is a first for the channel. So take for that what you will, but obviously we're just beginning the month of February, so we still have the rest of the month to see if Square Enix announces some sort of event. That rumor ends up being true, right? Square Enix wants to start doing their own game events, and it starts this month. They may not have anything at this upcoming State of Play, because you would think they want to save some pretty big reveals for their own showcases. Otherwise, what's the point of tuning in, right? If we tune in and it's just more foam stars type shit, like, I'm not interested. There is more eyes on the product if you do it at State of Play, because those get a lot of attention, right? But still, you'd think they'd want to do like some sort of big announcements at their own dedicated events. But as of right now, of course, this is all just rumors, right? We have a rumored State of Play for next week. Probably going to happen, I would assume, just because there's been a trend of State of Plays happening in February, so I don't see why there wouldn't happen. Also, NateTheHate seems to be a pretty credible source. There's also another rumor of Square Enix starting up their own, game events and stuff like that again. Their own reveal shows, live streams, whatever the fuck it's going to be. Square Enix Presents, that's what it used to be. Maybe that's what they're going to start doing. So regardless of whether it's Square Enix Presents or a State of Play or an Xbox Developer Direct, Square Enix needs to do goddamn something. What does the future hold? As a Square Enix fan, what am I looking forward to? Because we're already more than a month into this year. The 1/12 of the fucking year is already gone. And I don't know what the hell I'm looking forward to as a Square Enix fan. But we are, of course, at that point of the video where I pass off to you guys. What are your thoughts on both these rumors? Do you think we're getting a State of Play next week? What are your thoughts on Square Enix potentially doing their own showcases? It's been more than a month since we talked about it. So what are your thoughts currently now that we're in the month of February? Either way, that is the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Search in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @DavidYT. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more. And nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Logain, or leave it like Cobain.